Are you tired of high-pressure tactics?
No, I'm not going to sign that. It's too much.
At Community Auto Group, you'll find we have a straightforward approach.
If other dealers have made you uncomfortable, give Community a try. You'll enjoy your experience here and find a straightforward deal that's right for you, not high-pressure tactics.
Community Auto Group, straightforward deals from the straightforward dealer.
Well, it's great to have a Hawkeye legend and entrepreneur here in Mason City, of all places. Have you ever been to Mason City before?
I have driven through and around and up.
Down,
Never
up and
like
down.
Downtown.
Yeah.
No, but I like your downtown. It's
okay.
Cool.
Well, tell us.
Ride your bike around here. It's nice.
Maybe you want to tell us a little bit of, just briefly, I know you're going to give a presentation, but maybe you want to just tell us just real briefly about your solar company that you're working on and where we can learn more about it.
Just integrated power, ipowercorp.com.
Okay.
We're just a small little solar integrator that is doing, is working their way through the navigation of a new market in an exploding market.
Absolutely.
But it's a lot of fun on educating what the opportunities are, and so we do mostly commercial, and we do all kinds of jobs.
Not really into residential too much yet.
You are, but like residential, it's like it's a whole different customer.
Okay.
So sometimes you got to decide right now where you want to be.
Okay.
And there's certain markets that are good for residentials, and there's certain markets that are not. So you try to find your market and spearhead that, because eventually, like, we all have cameras, we all have cell phones.
Sure. Everyone
will have PV, and it's just we'll get to that point where it's so cost effective that it'll be available for everyone.
Fantastic. And where are your other stops taking you before Mason and after Mason then?
Des Moines, Iowa City, San Diego, I don't know, everywhere.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and thank you so much for coming to Mason City, by the way.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Yeah, it was a time where you could see a lot of athletes that were well above your level, and be around them and see how they operate, and see how they do their business. It was kind of it's special,
right.
And it's great that the kids that get a chance to be around those people to really take advantage of that opportunity, because you don't get that very much. You don't get that very much where you're around professionals and people that are great at that moment in time. Think about that. Think about your everyday life. So, it's important to understand that. And when I remember running, it was like that. I mean, that's, I think, why I ran so good at drink, is because I competed, because it was like, these are college guys running around here doing 20 seconds. There's Michael Johnson. He ran 19.9 in the cold. And I was there, I watched it. So you're like, I'm going to elevate. This crowd loves this. I'm going to elevate. So yeah, I got the opportunity to do that. But it's great for everybody that gets that, because there's a lot of states that have kids that run high school track and they never get around college, university, and even obviously professional.
And what would be your advice for a high school kid that's going there to compete? And
run, man.
Right?
Run like you never have before. You're gonna feel light. You're gonna feel fast. The track's actually faster now, I heard. And yeah, enjoy it. Just don't run too fast too soon. But run fast. Don't run fast.
And going
especially
back
the
to
juniors and seniors that run there before.
Going to his question, how do you think the Hawks will look this year? You've obviously got a pretty big connection to them.
I played there. I never played for Ferentz, so there's really no connection there.
Right. Okay.
But we're gonna find out if this quarterback can rally some kids behind him, start building the foundation. Because that's what you got to look at when the kid's coming in. He hasn't played for a couple years, and now he's got to kind of get things moving around. And I haven't seen him practice, but there's still going to be some, growing pains and some adjustment on the college level, especially in the Big Ten. But we can keep our running game strong. We saw this year that we could same games. It's just we need to move around some players and use some players some more. And on defense, we're going to be tough up front. I like that. I like our, it makes a huge difference when you have another year under your belt.
Right.
When you're playing. It's night and day, guys. It is. And you just all of a sudden the game becomes even better. And so these younger guys that now have that, I like that. I just, we just need to take a little less pressure off them, a little bit, and put a little bit more pressure in certain situations, and it can change some games for us. So, we're going to be competitive, and but I want to, by the end of the year, I'd like to see us kind of get on a little roll, or some teams that that we could beat, we beat.
Prediction time. Where are they finishing? Big Ten. Hard to say. Hard to say right now.
If I could predict anything, I'd be in Vegas.
Right.
Not in Mason City. So when you put in solar, it's like 2-year payback. It's boom. Because the energy there is so expensive. There's only 150,000 people. So they have to ship all this oil that they burn, right? And it's very polluted. Like you should see the air vents in their cars. I mean, it's just smoking out. You think, I'm breathing all this in right now. All these tourists that drive in on these boats, and these 5,000, billion-dollar boats that Carnival has, they all just breathing in all this pollution as they come in. And you're looking at that, and you're like, wow. But they're moving towards renewables. They're saying, why are we buying, hundreds of millions of dollars from these people that keep upping prices? We have all this sun and wind. What are we doing? Where their prices are and solar's here, you go down and you're like, people. It's taken us a while to close these deals. I'm like, do you understand how much money you guys have wasted the last 5 months? Like, let's just get into one project. Let's show what we can do for you. And it's pretty cool stuff. I mean, and you start adding the numbers up, and you're like, wow, these people are going to start saving so much money. And they're going to own their own energy. And that's big. They can cut themselves off and be independent like that. But, there's a lot of challenges out there, as you see. Like as India and China are growing, industrializing, massive amounts of resources that they're going to consume just by pure population. Energy, food, water, and they don't own a lot of resources. China is going to be massive, 3 billion people in 20 years. And all your grandkids and kids are going to have to deal with that. 5 billion people out of 2 countries are going to be part of the world. And you look at that, and you look at the growth of what they're doing. I mean, I've been to China in the last 3-4 years, and you go to these 30 million people cities. And then all of a sudden you think, okay, there's 1 billion people that live in their woods right now. They do, and they're all coming in. They're all building these huge towers that aren't even full yet with cranes that sit there. And you drive into these cities that maybe takes you 45 minutes to get in, and there's crane after crane after crane. And they're not moving. And they're just waiting for their middle class to come in and start buying and start creating an economy, a big, robust economy. But they're slowing down a little bit, but they're huge growth that's happening. You look at steel prices, you look at all these commodities that get shifted around the world all the time, and you see the growth in China and India, and you're just like, whoa. So you start looking at resources. Like we want to ship all our resources off our, ship out our coal, ship out our natural gas. Okay, well China will just eat that right up. Just by sheer number. It's not because they want to, it's because they have to. And you look at this and you're like, okay, we're going to give all this away. Whoa, we need to keep this and go into the stuff that's renewable that we can use and get away from all this. I mean, you look at like back in 2008 when we were spending $147 a barrel. That was like $142 million a day those guys were making. $142 million a day. And you think about why are we doing all that? Why are we sending billions of dollars other places where this stuff can power? I mean, if we don't believe in renewable energy and the battery and all that, then why do we all have cell phones and cameras and all that, right? This technology is getting there. It's coming. How are we doing?
I'm going to go ask if we can use the other computer that we're supposed to be able to use, but I'm going to ask.
But everybody, you say green, but it's cash. I mean, it's money. I mean, you are harvesting this resource to ship out to the marketplace to sell, just like you do your corn, just like you do your soybeans, just like you do your cattle, your pigs, milk, anything. It's a commodity, and I am sourcing it to sell out to the grid, to sell it to anybody who wants to buy it. And that's when the market opens to do that. Just imagine that you can't do that right now. Imagine you can put enough solar in your house to offset yourself and have extra to sell it to the grid. You can't do that right now. Well, you can, but they'll give you a really low price for it. But where the energy is producing is a really high price that's offsetting. So we don't really overprice our systems. I don't want to give these utilities extra valuable watts because where it comes from at a really low price, at a real expensive time, because they buy it real low and they sell it way up here. So it's like we try to build up to where we just offset a little bit, a little bit below if somebody wants to go off fully offset, which is what we scale for, but then you look at budget and look at all kinds of different factors that come in. But there's a market here. I mean, we're doing some I did a 50 kW the other day, which is like a 5,000 square foot system, bigger than this room. And that's not, that's kind of like the system sizes where it's a good market. And the guy's he's paying like 11 cents a kilowatt hour. And that's like for his business, where he gets a tax credit and a rebate from Alliant, he's looking like 3.5 years, where his costs are now, where solar is. It's amazing how, as this industry's scaled. And there's a shakeup right now of module manufacturers because everybody got into this. Like back in if you look at the growth curves, there's like 4 countries that really scaled this whole industry. Italy, Spain, Germany, the UK, and a little bit of America, but these other countries were exploding. Like Germany did in 1 month what we did in a whole year in 2011. And they did it in 1 month of June 2012. 1 year, or 1 month that we did in a year. And I mean, we're talking 7.5 million solar modules in less than 30 days they installed. That's a ton of people. And they're exploding, and they're starting to see their peak demand costs start to come down because the resource is free. So it's interesting, you start looking at these countries that are ahead of the game and where they're going with this, and it's huge savings for them, and it's huge jobs. I mean, to do a job in Germany, you can do a residential job in like a week. That's how fast their market is. You can do a deal and get one up in a week. Because you can walk down and you can grab the modules off the shelf and the inverter and you put it in. They have a little contract and that's what it is. You sign in for this deal, you have to buy the power, and that's how it goes. The market really spurs it. It creates a lot of jobs. Here, it's like you got to go through all these, you got to go through all this red tape a little bit. I mean, it's not hard if you understand the system. You've done a lot, but it's just a lot of. There could be a lot more clarity and a lot more ease in the marketplace. But it's getting there. I mean, we're getting on the back end of this thing in Iowa, which is great because we're learning a ton from all these other states. Like I pay attention to all these states. Like Jersey's been a big one. Jersey's been a huge market because they would have there's a credit that if you produce renewable energy, there's no carbon to that. So there's a value there. So they would buy this credit. Well, they inflated their credit way too high. And the price of modules were cranking down. So they didn't adjust, they just left it high. Well, then eventually there was too much in the market and people stopped valuing it, so the people didn't understand if the value of that 60-some, it's like $600 a megawatt hour, which you guys don't know what that means, but it should have been priced like half that price to grow their market. But their market exploded and then sputtered, and then they adjusted the incentives and their market picked up again. And now you watch the incentives, like Germany started at 90-some cents, and they're all the way down to 22 cents now. So, like, solar's not going to need incentives like in 3-4 years from now, because of the cost of energy at that point. Because we're going to spend a lot of money in energy, shutting coal plants down, possibly building nuclear here in Iowa, transmission lines, upgrading the grid to make it more stable, to make it more smart, more efficient to move energy around. Because right now we got a hose and we're just flushing it out, and it's going everywhere. And it's just we don't know how to we're not managing our grid, which is not good for the ratepayer because the ratepayer is paying for stuff they're not using. Like everything you have plugged into your house right now, whoever's your utility around here is just making money on you guys right now. Everything you have plugged in that you really don't use pulls current. It's taking your money. I go to my buddy's house and I pull all this stuff and he leave these tapes and he goes, "Stop pulling me out." I was like, keep pulling them out. I'm like, you're just giving the REC, you're just giving these guys money. Why would you do that? Would you sit there and just pay me like 5 cents every couple minutes? No. Probably not, but you're doing it to these guys. So what's the difference? The technology is getting better. It's getting more cost effective. It's going to be all over the place. I mean, it's definitely a technology that can change quite a few things. So I looked at that, and I've been coming back to Iowa, and I started this ISETA, this trade association group, to be the president, to go up on the Capitol, to fight to get into the market. Like, we have all territories here in Iowa, so you can't actually go in. What you never used to is be able to go behind your customer's meter, like put solar on this roof, and sell energy to this building, to Mason City for cheaper. And there was a solar outfit out of Dubuque that tried to do that with the city of Dubuque, and a line came in and said, "Hey, that's my customer." Well, that's been overturned, and now by law we can come in and provide this opportunity for school districts and for non-profits and government entities to actually own these systems way cheaper. And it's what's happening around the country. It's part of the industry that's really been a mover in it is way some of these structures are set up. And in Iowa, we've been hindered by that. It hasn't even been a free market, and now we're finally getting a free market. And it's good to even if we're a little more expensive, if we are, give their customer or give the Iowan the opportunity to say, okay, maybe I'll pay more, or maybe I won't pay more. And now they have that opportunity. So doing that, educating, and putting systems in, trying to build a small company and do some stuff. What usually I do is I play a video that educates people on electricity and how we've procured it, how we've energized our way of life for the last 100 years or so. But I won't do that. But it's cool. It's kind of because people don't understand the grid. Like I asked my mom when I first got in this, like, "Mom, where's your energy come from?" She had no idea. From the pole out there. But that's the reality of our country. We are very unknown of how we source all our oil. I mean, you talk to any American, say, where do we buy most of our oil from? They wouldn't have no idea. That's sad, because that's a huge amount of money that's going out of our country every single day. You know, where do you source your coal? Where do we source this? We don't know, but we're buying these products that we know nothing about. You know, we just care if it's cheap or not. You know, so, you know, the grid, and it educates people on the grid and how the energy moves around and all the 4 grids, and it kind of goes through that. But this is our energy consumption in America. Buildings, about 40%, industrial, manufacturing's big, and transportation's huge. So this is it, right? And this is, you know, solar is going to be in all of them. It's going to take over all of those in the next 50 years.